We don't know what to do. We were caught unprepared. We have no idea what's going on. That's the narrative, right? They think this is going to be what brings down the president. That's what this is all about.
It's not even a gotcha question. You believe the coronavirus is a hoax?
It's a gotcha moment. It's not useful.
Do you feel we should divert funding from building the wall to stop this pandemic that's terrifying American families? Yes or no?
America has the resources.
You're not answering my question.
Secretary of State up on Capitol Hill answering questions and getting a lot of pushback and questions from Democrats on the coronavirus and the White House Chief of Staff. Meantime, today, the markets took another dip, but not as bad as it was. It went down about 1,000, but finished about down 357. The Federal Reserve put out a statement. The fundamentals of the U.S. economy remain strong. However, the coronavirus poses evolving risks to the economic activity. The Fed is closely monitoring developments and their implications for the economic outlook. We'll use our tools and act as appropriate to support the economy. A lot of people say there's a drop coming. If you look at the history of the Dow, just to give you a little bit of a pause here, in case you're really worried about your 401k or if your market investments, just take a look at this. It goes back to 1970. It goes, takes dips. We don't know how far this dip will go, but just to give you a little something on a Friday as you're watching your money. Let's bring in our panel. Steve Hayes, editor of The Dispatch, Leslie Marshall, Democratic strategist, and Molly Hemingway, senior editor at The Federalist. A lot of talk from the White House Chief of Staff and others about the politics around this. Obviously, there are two sides to this. There's the policy and what's happening to try to curb it, and then there's the politics that's wrapped around this place always.
I think everyone has to be honest that there's a delicate balancing act that's in play. You want to get people prepared, and this is a very serious issue that we're dealing with, and preparation is a very key part of it, without leading people to panic. And I'm not sure how well everybody's doing thus far, but some of the criticism that the administration is getting for saying we have this under control but take it seriously seems a little bit unfair.
Here is the White House Chief of Staff on how to calm the markets.
I got a note today from a reporter saying, what are you going to do today to calm the markets? And I'm like, really, what I might do today to calm the markets is tell people to turn their televisions off for 24 hours.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer putting out a statement saying hiding the truth about the coronavirus and the government's response only increases the likelihood of virus spreading. For Mick Mulvaney to suggest that Americans turn off their TVs and bury their heads in the sand when they're worried about a global health pandemic is Orwellian, counterproductive, dangerous, and would be repeating China's mistake. Leslie, they can say that about what Mulvaney said, but I mean, there have been a lot of Democrats and columnists and all kinds of people throwing a lot at the wall about how this is being handled.
And I have to say, Molly, I don't think we've ever agreed, and I agreed up until your last two sentences. I did agree with you. Here's the problem that I have, and I put my money under a mattress with regard to the market. So I get upset because I care about the humanity. I care about the lives and the health. I really don't care about the politics of this, and I don't care about the market and economic value of this. And that's really where I think we need to be. I think when we look to other areas like Hong Kong, which have been very good with prevention, I really feel that is something that we as a nation need to do. Our president needs to do as our leader and as leader of the free world. Put out those PSAs about the masks aren't really effective, about hand washing, and also about increasing your immune system by getting a flu shot. That type of information I feel is essential. I don't think we should downplay it. I think that's dangerous. I certainly don't think that we should be fear-mongering. That's dangerous as well. But politics aside, this is a containment issue, and that's what the scientists have said. And I trust the scientists, not the politicians, on this. And the scientists are concerned about containment because it is spreading faster than SARS and Ebola. And we have 2 cases in California where they didn't go to China, and they don't know how these people transmitted this.
I bet we get a scientist, medical staff person to brief pretty much every day, coming soon. I would venture a guess here, but the politics is surrounding it. Here are Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders.
Hey, Mr. Trump, why don't you worry about the coronavirus rather than disrupting the Democratic primary right here in South Carolina? How pathetic and how petty can you be?
He's talking about the rally tonight in South Carolina that President Trump's going to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we shouldn't be surprised that leading politicians are being political, even at a time like this. I agree with Molly and Leslie. I mean, I think what we need now is a calm, dispassionate recitation of facts by people in authority. I think it would be a very good idea to have a daily half-hour briefing led by a team of experts, the people who we've entrusted to look at these kinds of issues on our behalf for years, who know what they're talking about, and come out every single day for a half hour, walk people through the facts of the situation. Here are the facts. Here's how you should conduct your everyday life, and give people that advice.
Well, let's just start this way. The CDC is better prepared now than they were for Ebola. So is NIH. They actually have more funding than they did back then. You wouldn't have known that at the beginning. But you're right, just to know the facts of the specifics of the containment effort is what's important.
It's a difficult thing to talk about, in part because the people who have it may not have had it detected. It's unlike SARS or MERS or Ebola, where the symptoms are manifest and they are often deadly. This is not, and so people could walk around undetected without anybody knowing that they are potentially being exposed. I think that makes it difficult. On the one hand, it's much less serious. The irony of it being much less serious on an individual patient basis means that the potential for spread is great.
All right, quickly, I just want to get to John Radcliffe being announced as the nominee for DNI.
Yes, this is very interesting news. He'd been previously nominated and pulled his own nomination, and he's been re-nominated. This is a guy who came up to speed pretty quickly on the House Permanent Subcommittee on Intelligence. He really is known by his colleagues as someone who's very dutiful and has been looking in the right places in terms of oversight for how this crazy conspiracy theory of treasonous collusion with Russia took root. It's also why a lot of people are worried about having him there, is that he kind of understands how the intelligence community works, knows the need for reform, and seems intent on actually getting that done.
We'll follow it. Next up.
American people are tired of billionaires, whether it's Michael Bloomberg or anyone else, trying to buy elections.
Well, what about money? Cash on hand? Take a look at this. Through January 31st, Mayor Bloomberg, obviously he has a lot of cash on hand. It's not really measured here, but Joe Biden, $7 million down there. Candidate spending, again, Bloomberg, $409 million so far. Tom Steyer, $253 million. Biden at $62 million. All right, we're back with the panel. We're going to first go down to a place we call Candidate Casino, but it's the South Carolina version of Candidate Casino. We'll start with Steve Hayes. You have $100 in chips. South Carolina, here we go.
That's an extraordinary amount of spending for the party that wants to remove money from politics, I would just point out. I think this is basically a two-man race. I've got 65 on Joe Biden, 35 on Bernie. I wouldn't put it past a surprise from Bernie, a better than expected performance from Bernie.
Leslie?
I'm putting 90 on Joe Biden and 10 on Bernie, although I would agree there'll be surprise because is it going to be a 20-point spread or a 4-point spread, depending on what poll and what time of the day you look at it, but I think Biden will pull it off.
Molly?
Well, Leslie, we agree for the second time tonight.
Wow.
$90 on Biden, $10 on Sanders. I think Biden needs to not just win, but win big. And so I'm very excited to see how it goes.
I wouldn't have bet on that. You're agreeing that twice. All right, it's 2020 Candidate Casino, a different bet. $100, here we go.
Even if Joe Biden wins South Carolina, I don't think he's likely to win the Democratic nomination. So I've got 75 on Bernie Sanders, 15 on Joe Biden, and 10 on some kind of crazy thing happening at the convention, and who knows what that is.
Wine, Women, and Song. Okay.
I'm going to split it 50-50, $50 on each of them. Every day I change my mind. And
There's nobody else?
No, I think it's going to be one of them. I really do.
Mon.
Well, I have $50 on Sanders, who I think is the guy most suited to get the nomination. But I also have $25, which is my next largest bet, on none of these candidates making it to the to getting the nomination. I think if you're not going to give it to Sanders, you might not be able to give it to any of them. $10 each on Biden and Bloomberg, and I did put $5 on Wine, Women, and Song because we all could use some fun.
I had tips at the late Charles Krauthammer. Okay, winners and losers quickly down the row. Steve.
My winner is the Taliban. They're getting Afghanistan back, and I think we're likely to whitewash them, their radicalism, as we withdraw. The loser is your 401k.
Sad clown. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to do it opposite. Loser, I'm going to say Donald Trump Jr. for saying that myself and other Democrats would actually want coronavirus to be inflicted on people for political gain. And paraphrasing, and in light of Black History Month, Olivia Hooker,
Is the winner,
yes. She hid under her table at 6 years of age while white people destroyed her house, worked for civil rights, and became the first African-American female in the Coast Guard.
Nice. Winner and loser.
My winner are the Democratic superdelegates, who really do seem poised to play a huge role in who gets the nomination. They always have had sort of an outsized role, but here they could actually determine it. We had stories this week showing how much they were interested in keeping Bernie Sanders, the presumptive plurality getter of votes, from getting the nomination, and so they will play a key role.
Although if you're a Sanders supporter, they're the loser.
Well,
Potentially.
I'm not saying that they're great or bad. I'm just saying they're the winners of the week.
Yeah.
My loser would be the Democratic debate moderators, who seem to match a lot of their media colleagues in being unable to ask tough questions of these candidates, whether it was Joe Biden making false claims about getting arrested in South Africa, or Elizabeth Warren changing and flip-flopping on PACs, or really just any good, tough questions about how to deal with coronavirus. We're not seeing our best questioning of these candidates.
Winners, you guys made it around the horn very quickly.